Hello, I'm Larry Stone, Santa Clara County Assessor. I don't know if you know this or not. The assessor is an elected position. Each term is 4 years. There are 3 countywide elected officials by state law: the sheriff, the district attorney, and the assessor. Others can be elected, such as the recorder or the registrar of voters, but that's by county option. There are no term limits for the 3 countywide elected officials, preserving continuity of leadership and management. I've been asked to give some brief remarks on the impact COVID-19 is having on the local economy, including our local real estate markets. Last year, I talked about an impending recession. I said, we will have a recession because we always do. I said our tech economy is very volatile. Our cycles in Silicon Valley tend to be faster and steeper, going up and coming down. Last year, I said the next recession would be a normal recession. I called it a soft landing. Well, today, some leading economists are talking about a crash landing. Employment rates potentially reaching Great Depression levels. COVID-19 has suddenly inserted a level of uncertainty in the global economy that makes normal analysis difficult. Silicon Valley is a global magnet for high-risk venture capital. When times are good, they're very, very good. When things turn down, the descent can be dramatic. It's like when Warren Buffett said, it's only when the tide goes out that you learn who's swimming naked. COVID-19 is a monumental health and humanitarian crisis of global significance. Eventually, experts believe that the medical aspects will diminish like SARS and Ebola. However, the economic impact will remain for a much longer period of time, increasing the prospect of a pandemic-triggered recession. A deep drop in consumer demand, supply disruptions, and sharp decline in job growth. Short-term disruptions, long-term outcomes. Jesse Rothstein, a professor of public policy at UC Berkeley, said, I think this is going to be larger than the Great Recession. Wow. We are dealing first with the health crisis, not an economic crisis. We must resolve the health crisis if we ever expect to deal with the economic crisis. The president stated, if we just resolve the economic crisis, the resolution of the health crisis will magically follow. That's unbelievable. Economic activity is highly globalized. Disruptions in business and economic activity can have a sustained effect beyond the immediate medical crisis. It will take more time to recover than most people expect or hope. Extreme market volatility leads to reduced consumption for an economy that is driven by consumer consumption. The federal, state, and local governments have enacted a wide range of public policies, including a $2 trillion economic stimulus package, while market forces, that's businesses and consumers, cope with uncertainty and fear. The longer the slowdown of economic growth, the longer the bounce back to normalcy. So what are some of the economic implications of this pandemic on our real estate markets? The most obvious, of course, the travel, hospitality, and leisure sectors. They are hit first and they're hit the hardest. The hotel sector is most vulnerable due to a decrease in tourism, business travel, in addition to government-imposed limits on public gatherings, conventions, conferences, and sporting events. Roughly 80% of U.S. hotel rooms today are empty. Next, the retail sector. Fear of social contact will exacerbate the serious challenges already facing the retail industry, particularly in-store comparison good retailers. Restaurants, food and beverage outlets, supermarkets, and major malls will suffer from compulsory or self-imposed travel restrictions. Major retailers furloughed 500,000 retail workers this week, allowing them to maintain their medical benefits. A sharp decline in consumer spending by consumers who have lost their jobs. Home values and home prices are directly tied to the economy. There's a reason my 3,000 square foot home on a 10,000 square foot lot, which I purchased in 1975 for $85,000, is valued at $3 million. It's the Silicon Valley tech economy that has caused residential home prices to skyrocket. The U.S. mortgage finance system could collapse if the Federal Reserve Board doesn't provide emergency loans to offset borrowers unable to make their mortgage payments because of COVID-19. It's not unlike the 2008 Great Recession. It really doesn't matter how low interest rates are if we have 10% plus unemployment. During the Great Recession, residential property values dropped 50% in some geographic areas of our county. At the height of the Great Recession, my office proactively reduced the assessed value on 136,000 properties, nearly 1/4 of all the properties in the county, reducing the assessment roll by $27 billion. The housing market has ground to a halt. The residential real estate market went from a seller's market to a buyer's market virtually overnight. The MLS recently suspended open houses and brokered tours of homes for sale. Nobody will ever purchase a home that they can't inspect from a realtor they can't meet. And finally, small businesses who don't have the cash reserves to survive for very long. What impact will COVID-19 have on commercial real estate? This economic disruption could trigger a new cycle of loan defaults. Trepp Analytics, a market leader in real estate analysis, projects that the default rate of commercial mortgages will rise 8%, up significantly from the current 0.4% default rate, with lodging and retail heading the list. Office, multifamily, and industrial will experience less distress. So who are the winners of this pandemic? Well, the health industry, of course, hospitals, clinics, and labs, medical device manufacturers. On the retail side, many online retailers will benefit, accelerating the impact of e-commerce on brick and mortar retailers. Disruption to global supply chains could ironically help warehousing and logistics, Amazon's fulfillment centers. Goldman Sachs projects that the economy will shrink as much as 34%. JP Morgan projects that California unemployment rate, which was 3.6% in January, may go to 12% very soon. That's Great Recession levels. Jesse Colombo, a Forbes contributor, said that the unemployment rate may hit 32%. That's Great Depression levels. Development and construction and leasing activity may be delayed or canceled due to the heightened sense of uncertainty over the economic and business outlook. Kaiser Permanente, for example, just recently canceled a $900 million, 1.6 million square foot office tower in Oakland. More cancellation or delays of major real estate projects can be expected. Given the extended time today it takes to entitle and finance major commercial real estate projects, it could have a long-term impact on critical real estate development, including both affordable and worker housing. A slowing economy also takes a toll on tax revenues, particularly in California. Government spending is an important component of a healthy economy. There's connection between economic growth and tax revenues. This may surprise you, but government provides more jobs and economic activity than any other sector. As tax revenues decline, so does government spending. Uncertainty about how long the crisis will last and when it will end can create an almost serious wait-and-see hesitation to engage in any meaningful economic activity. StratoDem Analytics is projecting that Santa Clara County is headed for a 15.7% plunge in economic output, a loss of $15 billion in economic value. We have been enjoying nearly 10 consecutive years of prosperity since the end of the Great Recession, the longest economic expansion in recorded history. It is clear that record-long period of prosperity is now over. Prior to COVID-19, our region was facing some serious headwinds, record-high housing costs, serious regulatory scrutiny of large tech firms, and slowing population growth. Now, COVID-19. There are a couple of positive notes, however. Chris Thornburg, principal of Beacon Economics, said that California's, particularly Silicon Valley, entered the COVID-19 crisis from such a strong economy that we are in a better position for a rapid recovery. Hopefully, COVID-19 will be contained before it causes catastrophic economic disruption. In the course of my lifetime, we have seen enormous progress worldwide. Polio is nearly cured thanks to Rotary. Hunger has dropped nearly in half. Life expectancy has increased from 46 to 71. We have survived the Great Depression and the Great Recession. And we have done it all through collective action to meet emerging challenges. The coronavirus is one of those serious challenges. But at the top of the list for me today, it's climate change and global warming. If we do not get this under control, there'll be no place for any of us to hide. If we want a strong and free economy that does not stall out over multiple years, we must reassert trust in our institutions, be they local or global.